I never imagined a single joke could end a marriage. But then again, I never expected to see that look in my husband's eyes, the one that quietly signals something inside him has snapped beyond repair. It all happened on a Saturday night at our friend Melissa's birthday dinner. The restaurant was one of those trendy downtown spots, dimly lit, with laughter bouncing off the walls. 10 of us gathered at the table. Old college friends, their partners, everyone talking over each other, wine flowing freely. I remember feeling so content that night. Lucky, even, to be married to Ryan. He had always been the steady one, the listener, the man who could sit silently in a room full of loud personalities and still make everyone feel acknowledged. That night, he was exactly that, soft smile, hand resting on his glass, eyes flicking from conversation to conversation. But somewhere between the second bottle of wine and dessert, something shifted. Daniel, I think it was him, started teasing me about how I run the show at home. He joked that Ryan was the ultimate patient husband. Laughter rippled around the table. "You're not wrong," I said. Ryan practically asked permission just to breathe. The table exploded in laughter. It wasn't mean-spirited, at least not yet. It was the sort of joke that slips out easily when wine warms your words and the night feels safe. But then I caught Ryan's expression, a polite, tiny smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Come on," Melissa pressed. "He's a sweetheart. You're lucky he puts up with you." And that's when I said it. The words I've wished I could unsay for months. "Oh, he doesn't put up with me. He just knows I'm always right." It was meant to be funny, maybe even endearing. But the laughter that followed felt hollow, jagged. Even I could feel the shift, the sharpness in the air. Ryan placed his glass down with deliberate care. The soft clink of his wedding ring against the stem sounded louder than I expected. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't glare. He simply looked like a man who had reached the quiet center of a storm. "You know," he said evenly, "it's funny how people laugh at the truth when it's disguised as a joke." The laughter died instantly. A few people shifted uncomfortably. I tried to speak, to laugh it off, but my words froze. Ryan stood. "I think that's enough for me tonight," he said, leaving a few bills on the table. Pulling out his wallet. "Enjoy the rest of your evening." "Ryan, wait," I whispered, but he was already walking to the door. At first, I thought he just needed some air. A pause. We'd argue later. I told myself we'd talk in the car. When I got home an hour later, his side of the closet was empty, his toothbrush gone, the frame photo from our wedding gone. Only a folded note sat on the kitchen counter. When the person you love laughs at you long enough, you start to realize you become their favorite joke. I hope someday you find something real to laugh about. My knees gave way. I sank to the cold tile floor, staring at the note, my throat tightening. The party replayed in my mind. Every laugh, every careless word, the way I looked at him like he wasn't there. I hadn't just mocked my husband that night. I had mocked the man who had loved me quietly, forgiven me easily, and waited for me to see him the way he saw me. And now he was gone. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound, the fridge humming, the clock ticking, reminded me of him. How he used to fix the squeaky cabinet, fold laundry just so, leave his phone face down because he'd say, "When I'm with you, I'm with you." The silence that night was heavier than anger. I called, straight to voicemail. Texted, no response. One last message, "I'm sorry. Please come home." Still nothing. By morning, I told myself he just needed time. Ryan wasn't impulsive. But as hours bled into days, I realized this wasn't a pause. It was the end. On the third day, I went to his brother's house. His car was in the driveway. When he opened the door, I barely recognized him. No wedding ring. Eyes red, yet steady. "I just need to talk," I said softly. He stepped aside. No anger. No yelling. Just a quiet space between us, like strangers forced to share air. "I didn't mean to humiliate you. I started. It was a stupid joke." Everyone was laughing. "That's the problem, Anna," he interrupted. His voice was calm, but every word landed like a hammer. "You think it was about laughter? It wasn't. It was about respect." I didn't lose you that night. You lost me piece by piece. Tears burned my eyes. Why didn't you tell me? I whispered. I did, he said simply. You called it overthinking. You said I was too sensitive. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. He was right. I had dismissed him, mistaken his silence for indifference when it had been exhaustion. Do you know what it feels like, he continued softly, to be laughed at by the person who's supposed to love you most? It's not embarrassment, it's erosion. Little by little, it wears you down until you stop trying to be seen. I wanted to beg, to promise change, but I knew words couldn't repair what years of dismissal had shattered. I stood there, crying in the doorway of the man who had once been my entire world. He handed me an envelope. Divorce papers, already signed on his end. I'm not doing this to hurt you, he said. I just can't stay somewhere I become invisible. He turned and walked away before I could respond. The soft click of the door behind him felt louder than any fight we'd ever had. For weeks, I replayed the party in my mind like punishment. Every laugh, every look, every careless word. Friends tried to console me. He overreacted, but deep down, I knew he hadn't. He finally reacted, and that made all the difference. I learned that day that love doesn't always end with shouting or slammed doors. Sometimes it ends quietly, across a dinner table, when someone realizes they've been living as the punchline in their own story. Months later, I saw him at a grocery store. He looked lighter, not necessarily happier, just free. He nodded politely, the kind of nod you give to a memory you've already made peace with. I nodded back. That was our goodbye. Simple, final, strangely kind. Now, when people ask what happened, I don't say he left. I say he stopped waiting for me to stop laughing. And every time I hear laughter at a dinner table, I remember that night, the wine, the candlelight, the way I mistook mockery for affection. It wasn't a joke that ended our marriage. It was the moment he realized I had forgotten the line between being funny and being cruel.